Okay, up next we get to our utilities section. Now these are just kind of extra things. A lot of them don't even make sound. They just kind of show us some things and facilitate doing other things. The first one is our audio effects rack. Now this one definitely makes sound, and this is probably the most powerful thing we have in our whole list of effects here. Now we've looked at MIDI effect racks, and this works essentially the same. We're going to spend a lot of time on audio effect racks when we go into performance, but I do want to just introduce it here. Okay, so it does work the same as audio effect racks and instrument racks, all of which we've looked at already. So we can load in audio effects and we can create really dynamic audio effects by using the chain selector and the macros. Let me pull up a preset here. The presets under audio effect racks has some really awesome stuff, and it's really kind of strange that all of these are listed under utilities, but so they are. We've got performance and DJ stuff. We'll look a lot at that later. Amp simulation, mixing and mastering presets are actually really good. Modulation and rhythmic. Let's grab one of these and just take a look at it. Let's throw it on this track. Okay, so here's my rack. So initially everything is hidden and we just have our macros. Just like the other racks, we can get access to all the devices in it by clicking here. If you have Live Suite, if you have an earlier version of Live, you might not be able to get in there. Okay, we see here we've got 3 chains. And let's see how we're choosing the chain. Now, one thing that's different than the instrument rack and the MIDI effects rack is that our ability to switch between the chains can only be controlled by the chain selector. Okay, and that's this kind of teal thing here. And we can see that's mapped to something. It's mapped to the rack dry wet. Okay, so we see they've set up some cool crossfading stuff here. So we have left, right, and dry. So the dry fades out as we go up. The left and right get more intense as we go up. Cool, and let's see what's on these. On the left one, we have an auto filter with all kinds of stuff. All those green dots show us that everything here is mapped out to a macro. So a lot of stuff in the auto filter. And then this utility, which looks like is just boosting or cutting our gain a little bit. Probably dependent on either the drive, probably this drive setting. Our right channel has probably the same effects. Yes. And our dry probably has nothing. Yep, nothing. It's just sending it right out. That's our dry. So what you can see here though is that you can crossfade effects, which is like mind-blowingly cool, right? You can create really dynamic and really cool effects with the audio effects rack. So spend some time building stuff with the audio effects rack. I think you know how to use everything in it. Just remember to map something to a macro. You're just going to control click on it and say map to, and then pick your macro. And that's going to put it out here. Remember, you can map multiple things to the same macro. You can rename your macro with Control R. You can rename your chains with Control R if you want to. You can adjust the volume of your chains. And that should get you everything you need to really start building some cool effects racks. Play around with this stuff with these presets too. There's some really great stuff in here to play around with. Again, more on those in part 6 when we start talking about performance.